Greetings and salutations. I don't do that very well. This is Cast Co-op, and we are back with episode 50. And of course, to celebrate episode 50 and to show you the amateurs that I'm constantly forced to work with on this show, you can see neither of them are here. So Luke is busy with this work stuff he does. It's silly. I don't know why he bothers with it. Joe doesn't have a very good excuse and was supposed to be here and is just running late, apparently. So he is not here on time. Filling in for Luke, though, we have what we like to refer to around here as the better half of XEP, Mr. Captain Logun himself. How you doing, my friend?
I'm good. You can't make me laugh, though. I'm gonna die.
Who also, no joke, is partially sick with a con flu. So we're just batting 1,000 over here at Cast Co-op, but the technical issues I'm not having so far this week, so fingers crossed. But how you doing, man?
I'm good. I mean, overlooking the fact that I've been like laid up with my work laptop on the couch all week, like draining snot and just trying to do whatever I can to stay alive so I can finish a project I've been working on. I'm doing great, man.
Yeah, it is the worst when like you still have work to do and you're sick and you're at home and you're like, I gotta focus on this and you're dying. Yeah, that's no fun, dude.
Every morning too, my wife, bless her heart, we ran out of creamer and we've both been too busy or sick to like go out to get new coffee creamer. So like every morning instead of coffee, she's like, would you like some tea or hot cocoa? I don't know. I'm like, tea, probably tea. We'll go with tea.
Oh my goodness.
She's like, are you gonna go to work? And I'm like, yes. Man,
well,
we got a full house tonight.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thanks for swinging by. Midnight Jury kicking us off with gifting a season gaming membership over to Gamefire, who is a regular as well. So thank you very much. Midnight, always very generous with the memberships over here at SG. Super appreciated. Thank you. Yeah, it should be a good show. Joe will be joining us hopefully shortly if he gets his act together. And the three of us are going to be chatting about a few things. So we've got the Xbox Developer Direct that was announced. So we're going to kind of chat through that, some expectations, what we hope to see. We also want to talk a little bit around, speculation of what's going on in the Xbox side of the house with potentially bringing some of their IPs over to other platforms. And I'm sure, especially with Sea of Thieves being a topic there, Logan, you have some thoughts there, and you guys have probably discussed that to some degree. I also reviewed Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown, which the embargo actually lifted this morning. So part of the reason why we did the show on Thursday this week is so that I could talk about that game fully. So we'll get into that and more. But I think to get us started, I wanted to wait for Joe to talk more about the kind of third-party rumors, or at least with some of the IPs. And I think anyone on this channel and who watches Cast knows we're not going to go off the deep end with this stuff, more of just a casual conversation. So instead, why don't we go ahead and start with the Developer Direct? And just at a high level, because I know you guys obviously run a weekly Xbox-centric show. What are your thoughts so far on kind of what they're planning to show next week, the IPs they've announced, any kind of big expectations or hopes for that show?
Oh man, I'm so excited. I was just closing up the Xbox podcast that they put out with Tina Amini and Jeff Rubenstein and the other Stein. And I was thinking they need like some merchandise for like Stein and Rubenstein. But it was really cool to hear Tina kind of talk about putting together the developer showcase, like with Aaron Greenberg, and kind of going to the studios and visiting them and talking to the devs about the games that they're going to be doing. So right now, honestly, I think, is it Ara, the History of the World, is the one that I'm the least excited about, but I think that's just because of like personal preference. But dude, like I'm stoked. I finally got to sit down and ironically enough get to sit down and watch the latest Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny last night.
I watched it last week too.
Yeah, I was really surprised by how much I enjoyed it. I was like, I I'd heard that people said that it wasn't the greatest, or that the IP is dead and that it really doesn't have a whole lot of sway. But honestly, the story that they told was one that felt very similar to like older movies and stuff like that. And now that the game's coming out, I'm kind of looking forward to seeing like what can they do, because Indiana Jones is just one of those IPs I think I've always loved. If it's got John Williams in it, I'm probably gonna love it. I'm really happy about that. But I'm glad they're doing this. I think it's important to see the devs actually speak from their perspective what they're excited about, because I think so often or not there's that kind of mentality around gaming that, oh well, the publishers decide what games get made, and that it's not up to the developers or the studio to really decide on what projects they want to work on. And we do see some examples of that, but having like a developer direct, I think we get the opportunity to actually see like the devs come out and talk about how passionate they were, especially with games like Hi-Fi Rush like last year. So I think that was really cool. My question for you is I don't think we're going to be getting any shadow drops this time, but do you think that we would, given the lineup?
I don't think so either. The one thing I think that surprised me more, that's kind of circulating around right now, is that Indiana Jones is far further along in development than maybe some of us anticipated, right?
Yeah.
And we're hearing that, it's much closer to launch than I think we would have thought. When this kind of first came up a little while ago, we were like, oh, that's years away, and apparently not. So I'm really excited. Like you, I grew up with Indiana Jones. It's easy to call it a dead IP and things like that. That's just not true. And I think that the foundation, as we've seen with the obvious reference to Uncharted and other IPs like it, Tomb Raider, right? There's a great foundation from a gameplay perspective that can be utilized there. Machine Games is a top tier talent too. So I'm really excited for Indiana Jones, and I just hope that, we'll see what they have. They said, I was just going back through the notes that they announced on their thing. They said more than 10 minutes with Machine Games on Indiana Jones itself for the show next week. So it's not like going to be a 2-minute trailer. We're actually going to get some thoughts and probably some gameplay and some, at least a little dive on what they were thinking with the game and how they're developing it. So I'm pumped about that. But in terms of Shadow Drop, I don't think so. I don't know. I'm with you. Aura History Untold it's not my type of game. I'm sure it'll be good. It's got a lot of focus on it and some good dev talent there, but it's just not the type of game I play nowadays. Yeah. So if there were going to be a Shadow Drop or something that's kind of near immediate release, maybe it's that. But otherwise, no. I don't think we get a Hi-Fi Rush moment in 2024.
I'm kind of okay with that. I think it was good to have like that kind of moment of be like, hey, by the way, this really cool looking game's out right now. With Aura History Untold, I think the expectation is already set for that. Like, if you're into Civ games, you're gonna probably like this one. You're probably gonna have fun with it. But I always wonder, like, if they've it's always the publishers that ruin this for us. They set expectations and then they exceed the expectations, and then we wonder if the expectations are actually real for the next time around. So it's like, okay, well, they did a Shadow Drop this last time. Are they going to do one this time? No. Okay, well, is that because something wasn't ready, or because they just didn't have faith in the game itself? It's like all these questions start coming up afterwards, and I'm like, maybe they just didn't want to, guys. I don't know. The discussion around it always seems very interesting. That's something I want to hear when I go back after we actually go through the developer showcase and start listening to everyone's thoughts and opinions about it. Who's going to be like, well, I'm surprised they didn't have something for a Shadow Drop. That seems kind of ridiculous. It's like, really?
Yeah, it's one of those things where like expectations get set based on what was shown previously, to your point, and people feel like it always has to build on top of that. And it's like, you shouldn't have that. The last show is not the bare minimum floor for what's going to come in the next show, right? Because there's just an endless escalation there that's never going to be met, and that's probably a problem with some of the people we see go crazy online in the social space around their expectations not being met. But no, I think, come on, by the time this shows next week, it's the 3rd week of January. We're already getting a developer direct. I think Xbox is getting out in front of it in 2024, which is fantastic. They've been very clear. since June of last year, well, since before that, really, but to be fair to them, they've been very clear about their focus for this year since June, when we had the showcase in LA, but also the post showcase conversation that some of us wrote about that were there in LA, where they were very clear about Hellblade and Towerborn and, what they had coming this year and the cadence of trying to attempt to get to a game per quarter, a first party AAA game per quarter release. And it's looking like they're there. I mean, Matt Booty spoke about that in June, and he was very clear on like, hey, we know 2022 was dry, and we know that we haven't hit the cadence we've been hoping to achieve, but we are there. We're over that hump, and it's coming. And I think we're starting to see that. So I think not only Indiana Jones kind of coming to the forefront, but obviously, I'm ridiculously hyped for Hellblade 2. Long time coming. I think that game is going to blow some doors off. And then Avowed, obviously, is one of my kind of most anticipated games for me because just the RPG and Obsidian. I mean, I love those styles of games.
Love encumbrance. Stuff in your bags full of stuff.
Yeah, just sorting out inventory for an hour a day. That's what I love to do in a game.
That's my favorite thing. Just gotta pump up those stats. Work hard. Gotta work. I see you working out all the time.
Gotta get stronger.
I'm right with you. I'm glad you brought it up because it was one of the things I was going to ask you. This developer direct. Now, this could be like for the foreseeable future, the way Microsoft likes to address the beginning of the year. Which, if they're doing that, and they do that with 4 games, that hits kind of the cadence that Matt and Phil and them have all talked about wanting to have 4 major releases each year. Which, honestly, if you were to say like this is going to be the 4 games that are the 4 that we get this year, because I'm assuming we'll probably get more. It's just if they're exclusive, who knows? But these are going to be kind of like the tentpole markers for Xbox's 2024. I would be fine with this. I think this is a great lineup. It's got a little bit of something for everyone, which I think they did last year. But I'm wondering, do you think that this is kind of what they were looking to do with this kind of developer direct?
Yeah, it's a good question. I would definitely enjoy. And it's funny, we just talked about setting expectations and not expecting it every time. And I was just about to say, now they got to do a developer direct beginning of January every year. But I think to your point, it's a good idea because, you kind of have that down period in December, right? And you get through the holidays and we all kind of take a break and just catch up on whatever we're doing. And then you come into January usually. And in the gaming industry now, we see major game releases in January. I mean, we have it happening as we speak. But I think it's still a good idea to come out of the holidays and say, okay, here's the brand you support and the ecosystem that you play in. Here's what we have planned and here's what we're working on in the near term. And I think that it being directly counter 6 months to almost a day of when you do something in June, right? It could be a really good cadence for that delivery. So yeah, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think I would speak for most Xbox players when we say we would appreciate a developer director at the beginning of the year to kind of kick off what to look forward to for the year.
Yeah. I think having something in June is kind of a nice way to set expectations for like the next few years. I know they like to do that. They show a lot of trailers. Like, we've seen one of my buddies over at Obsidian, they were kind of smashing together a quick little trailer for Outer Worlds 2.
Yes.
And that was something where I was like, that's cool. He's like, there's nothing. Like, that's cool. Take your time. I don't care when it comes. I'll be happy when it does. I know there's stuff, but like that's a good way to kind of be like, hey, these are some of the projects that we're playing around with. These are some of the ideas, having something like that for the June kind of E3 period, RIP is good. But I love the idea of having the 4 major ones that you want to do for like 2024 or like 2025, and then have that be the thing where it's like, okay, these are the ones that are just about ready to go. And we want to sell them to you from the passion perspective from the developers, as opposed to trying to win people over with marketing. because there's always seems to be so much scrutiny around marketing. Whereas if you actually hear from the developers, a lot of people tend to be a lot more kind about that than they do with just trailers. And I think that's what we like about things like the DICE Awards and stuff, or like award speeches and stuff, is actually hearing from the devs. And kudos to Tina and Aaron for putting another one of these together, because it seems like it's fun from their perspective, but I can imagine it's a ton of work given how many different things they have to try and do directs and showcases and stuff for throughout the year.
Yeah. I mean, we've each talked to enough of these teams where we've heard from them directly how much work goes behind the scenes here. And it always disappoints me when that subsection of the community kind of, says right after the show that sucked and it was trash and, all those words that get thrown around. It's like, dude, it's a lot of people's hard work. I know it's not always going to meet your expectations, but come on, at least respect the process a little bit. So a couple comments real quick. Gamefire comments, and sorry, I was trying to type in chat and my keyboard's acting up. So much for the technical issues. Gamefire types that the rumors about a Shadow Drop are from Double Fine, maybe a smaller game like Hi-Fi Rush. So if Double Fine has something in the pipe that is ready to release, sure, that'd be fantastic. Double Fine always has quirky, artistic, amazing games. Psychonauts 2. One of the best ever. And then Pyro states that before Xbox bought ZeniMax Bethesda, they did the early year dev direct. It will be a staple going forward. So I think there's that expectation already being set that we are going to see this every January. With that, we have our third panel member finally here. He goes by Joe. He's not the best, but he's going to join us tonight. But Joe, at least you're here, because I'm not only happy to see you, my friend, but now I can actually put on this awesome overlay, which isn't going to work. So that effing sucks. And we're going to go back to this one.
I saw it, though.
I just barely saw it.
The improved look. I want to apologize. When like your significant other throws you a task and they're like, you have to do it. And I'm like, why? And they're like, is the podcast more important type of thing? Like, they're like, is this more important than me?
Yes. And you just say yes. Yes, it is.
She didn't like the joke. She didn't like the joke the first time. So I very much apologize. I hate being late for stuff, unless it's Fortnite with Luke, So I apologize. Really do.
The nights you don't show up, those are very sad for us, by the way.
Yeah, that's right. At least my presence is missed. How's everybody doing?
You see this, Logan, these young guys, they have sex for the first time and they don't know how to control their emotions. They get pulled around.
Yeah.
It's bad.
No independence whatsoever.
They lose it immediately. Goes out the window.
You don't know what was on the line tonight,
right? Oh man. No, good turnout. Some guy called the Luke Lore, what a weird name, is in the chat, and then we have the better half of XCP here with us. So I mean, things are good.
That's right. Yeah, Luke's looking good tonight. I like the addition to the glasses.
It's a different look. Yeah,
he looks less vampirish. Vampiric guy.
Look,
it's like he's seen the sun and he's like a daywalker now.
I love my settler. I love the fact that he looks like he always just walked out of Fallout 76. It's great to work with him.
And then he says his eyes have issues, and it's like, well, you've been in a vault for 10 years, dude. We know.
Exactly. It's like it's dimly lit. We understand.
I'm actually if I can, I just want to take a quick moment, because I know Luke's busy with being a teacher and trying to save the next generation of kids from whatever the hell. It's all his class are gone. Like Gen Z is over and out. We can't fix them. It's just gonna have to be trial and tribulations. Yeah. But he's doing the Lord's work of trying to help the chillins right now. And I have to say, when you approached me and Luke was like suggesting that I jump on for cast co-op, I was like, oh, this will be fun. I'm gonna have to. I'm looking forward to this. And then I got sick, and I was like, "Son of a gun!"
Well, listen, catch me up. What have you guys been chatting about? While I was
Yeah, so we're talking.
literally-
We started
Your
with
mom.
the developer direct. So
Ooh,
we've
okay.
talked about Indiana Jones, and we've talked
Alright.
about should we have the expectation that we get a developer direct to kick off the year for Xbox every year going forward,
Yeah.
and about the expectations of the show itself. Will there be a shadow drop? So go ahead and throw your thoughts at us on all
really
those
got
topics.
right into it. Yeah. So first off, I feel like I'm like genuinely one of the only people excited for Indiana Jones.
No,
Like,
we both
No,
said we
were
are
just-
too. So
Oh,
you're in
good.
good company.
Talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the Gen Zs, like they're out there TikToking and doing break dances, in the Walmarts. For me, I'm like Indiana Jones is one of the things I connected with my dad at a young age. So like it means a lot to me. Like Raiders, like the whole series, even the one with the alien skull. I love them all, man. So for me, I'm really excited because this, we know Phil has been searching for their Uncharted for a very long time. And I think Machine Games is
Machine
just
Games. Yeah.
so talented at knowing how to eviscerate Nazis. And so to me, it's like, what a better marriage between the two. It's like you got Marjorie Taylor Greene's ancestors right here versus Indiana Jones. Like, I just can't wait, I
Yeah.
really can't wait. Do you guys think it's going to be, I may have missed out, but like, do you think it's going to be a straight up, like, beat for beat Uncharted-esque game? Because I'm definitely thinking that. Like, I think it's going to be
I
like,
kind of hope so. I think that
Yeah.
would be cool. It would just be fun to live in like an Uncharted world, but with the Indiana Jones skin on it. I think like with Hogwarts Legacy doing something that's like a open world kind of normal like game of a game, and same thing with like Avatar. I think like we're in a really good place with IP games. And honestly, if they do like a movie version of the game, or like a game that's set like the movies are, where it's just kind of like you have your story beats and you're kind of moving
Yeah.
forward with the villain, and you're always just kind of like a step ahead or step behind.
even
I
if it
think that would
moves,
work.
even if it moves somewhat, and like follow me here for a sec, like a Jedi Fallen Order type, where it's like
Yeah.
you have the platforming elements where you're using your whip to get across, like that could be pretty fun, even if it's more linear like that. Like, yeah, Indy gets me really excited. And knowing it's 2024, yes, like I'm all on board the Indy train. I can't wait to see more of it. In terms of the
Yeah, and so if you didn't see it, Joe, just to
Please.
clarify too, in the announcement they said it's going to be 10 minutes with Machine Games and
Really?
Indy.
Yeah.
So it's going to be, you was going to see a lot of it. Yeah, because what we were saying is the rumors kind of behind the scenes right now is this is far further along than we anticipated, and that you should
Yeah.
expect this game to be coming soon.
Yeah. How soon do you guys think? Did you guys chat
I
on
think
that?
Summer
We
blockbuster.
didn't. You
Yeah.
think summer?
If
Yeah,
if
I
had to
could say
toss it out.
second or third quarter.
Yeah.
Mid-year.
I would
Yeah.
I would even say like maybe it's an early September game.
Yeah,
Akin
could
to
be.
like what Starfield was. Listen, I don't know if Indy has the pull it once did, but I'm really excited for it personally. Yes, knowing that we're gonna get a good 10 minutes. What I really want this direct to be is like, here is our slate for the year, or at least the rough outline. Like, yeah, we need to see a date for Ninja Theory's game. We need to see a date for Obsidian's game. We need to see a date for Machine Games, and I think that's what we can expect. I don't think we're gonna see any shadow drops here, because the word on the street was that as much as Hi-Fi Rush was awesome, it may have needed a little bit more of marketing behind it rather than here's a nice drop. Maybe it needed a bit more of a spotlight. So maybe that's a game that got lost in the Jeff Keighley Winter Showcase that just happens to have some awards, and they were like, listen, if we can't make the date here for a nice shiny trailer, maybe we could just shadow drop it. And so I don't think we're going to see like plenty of shadow, if not at all, from Xbox again. I don't think just because they did it once that sets a precedent. I think what they should do is say, hey, here's what our outline is. Here's some Activision games, because that deal has gone through, and here's why it's a good time to be an Xbox fan. because sometimes it's the Xbox community is very bipolar. One day it's like everything's awesome, and then
we're good with it. We're good with it.
And then next week
Sorry,
it's
I
like
love
it's
you.
all over, guys. It's Joe over, guys. So
it's funny you mentioned. Sorry, Joe. I was gonna say it's funny you mentioned the just because they shadow drop before shouldn't be the expectation, because we actually talked through that too. That's why I was laughing.
Yeah.
And we were kind of saying the same thing, that just because they do something in one show or presentation or whatever it is doesn't mean you should expect that every time going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's where we were. Are you guys, so that's Indiana Jones. That's kind of expectations for the show. Are you guys as high on Hellblade 2 as I am? Because I am like, it's one of my most anticipated games, like bar none.
Yeah. When I hear people talk about it and they're like, I could take it or leave it. I'm like, really? Because I think the first game's astounding. Like the first game is just with the little budget that they had, they showed that they have incredible promise as a studio. So I can't wait to see what they do with a bigger budget. And when people go, it's going to be more Hellblade, it's like I hate that when people like poo-poo sequels for being more of what the original game was, a great game, and as long as they build upon some of it, I'm all in. I like that's probably my second most anticipated game this year, if I really think about it.
Behind,
and
it's one of his visual novels on Steam. Don't ask.
Yeah, it's one of my visual novels.
That here.
A dating sim.
Yeah, right next to my little dating sim that I can't talk about. No, Star Wars Outlaws. I think that's an easy one.
You think that's coming out this year?
You think that's coming?
Oh yeah, I'm optimistic. Yeah, they said, what is it? It's fall 2024. Let's go. Let's do it.
That's what they said. Yeah.
I have to wait for that .jpeg sometime.
I mean, it's listen, we're moving towards a GIF. We're moving towards a GIF. We'll
Sorry,
get that
I'm trying
GIF.
to get the thing fixed. I forget what I was going to say now.
I'm actually not really invested in Hellblade. I played through probably halfway through the first one, and I had a really good time with it. But just nothing really grabbed me about it. So I don't know if I could really say that anything about it has, outside of just the technical prowess that they're showing. I'm just astounded by how good that game looks. It's like a Alan Wake 2. Like I probably won't play Alan Wake 2 just because of the type of game that it is, but I can recognize that game is astounding at what it does, and they're doing stuff that I don't think you see too many studios actually do. Hellblade's there with it, but I just personally don't really have any like nothing that's like drawing me in the way it is with like Avowed or Indiana Jones.
Now, my question for you here, new and improved Luke, is because you are a bit of a coward. You don't like scary games.
Yes.
Right. Is it
I don't.
Yeah. No.
Screw those games. Screw them. You can keep those games.
Is that part of the thing that like pushes you away from, a Hellblade?
No.
Is that it's because you got it. You got everybody. He's got it. I know this is a podcast and it's audio, but you should be here for the video version. 28 minutes in, you're gonna find out why. But because there are elements in Hellblade. I'm thinking about like the part where you're like in the dark. It's all audio.
Oh man, that part was choice. I love horror games, so I was like, this is incredible.
Dude, if they just did a whole game like that.
There have been a couple games that are kind of like that are designed by visually impaired people, and the whole idea is that you play through the game through sound, and those games really do touch on like that kind of fear of stuff coming at you from angles and having to deal with that around you. But I never got to anything that was really too scary in that game, so for me it was fine. I don't think that that's really the thing that really kind of prevents me from moving forward with that. It was just I just haven't given it enough time or enough attention, because I think of the type of game that it is. It's going to require me to sit down and actually pay attention, not be distracted. And usually at the end of my workday, I'm like, I kind of just want to chill with the guys and chat and BS because you're in our DMs and stuff, so you see like when we're like, all right, well, when are we jumping on? That's not really a time that we really get to kind of sit down and focus in on something unless we kind of go quiet.
True. Yeah.
Good comment. Sorry.
Go for it, Ains. No, go for it.
I was just going to say, good comment from Nissa. Says, as a therapist, I like Hellblade because they worked with therapists to get the psychosis correct. What drew me to it was the testimonies from people who experienced that and how they felt seen. So
That's
pretty cool.
awesome. Yeah. And that's awesome to get someone in the chat that like has that background. That's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. Man, Hellblade is a special game for those, for what, Nisa just said. It's really special. So I want to see how they put on that. And for me, it's like my only worry is like they don't lose sight of what made Hellblade 1 so special, which was the psychological element of it, and the importance of mental health and all those aspects. Like, I don't want them to just be like, and now we're a big blockbuster, look at this giant creepy man and we're gonna scare you. Like, I want there to be that deeper meaning like that was in the original,
Yeah, I'm with you.
Where do you think that's gonna land?
Hellblade?
Yeah.
Good question. I honestly don't know. I hadn't thought about it.
I would say early or super late. I think they're planning on that being something, because we've seen and heard from Hellblade for a very, very long time. I think it was this time last year that they were showing off like the mocap that they were doing, whether it be at like CES or something, where they were talking about still working on the game. If they're still that kind of at that stage, then I would guess probably later half of 2024. But I think they wanted to stand out as kind of like a big moment for Xbox fans.
I was gonna say, how important is this game? Because there was a lot of like importance placed on Starfield of like, this is gonna be the thing that defines Xbox. Do you think Hellblade has that similar, like, I don't know, pressure?
I think the gaming community puts that pressure on it. I don't think Xbox is, because I think Xbox is looking at each of these games as equals. I mean, otherwise, if you were going off of like what the quote unquote capital G gamers want from a console, I don't think that they would have taken the time to really focus in on something like Ara History Untold. But given that is being put into this, I see Xbox kind of seeing most of their children are all kind of equal in this case. I think Starfield was big because it was the first big new IP from Bethesda, and that has a certain amount of cachet with it that can't be ignored.
Fair.
Yeah. I wouldn't think it's kind of agree with Logan on this one. I would say if you're talking about time frame, I mean, it seems almost obvious for like an October, November style game, depending on what's releasing in the market at that point in time. But I don't think Xbox is all too afraid of specific release dates or avoidance either. I mean, Game Pass gives them a little leeway in that regard, I think. So yeah, I would guess let's go late third quarter.
Oh, really? You think like this is like a September to November type of release?
Yeah.
Interesting. I don't know. To me, I want it to be kind of soon. Like, I would love to see this thing.
I would love it
hit in May. Where it's like, hey, now we have a good like 90 days to ramp up of marketing and to get people their eyes on Hellblade 2. Without having to worry about what does the holiday quarter look like in terms of like the games around us. Are we going to still be talked about in a week or two? Where I think if you launch in a spring to even a summer like blockbuster, we're finding out that like you could put games out in the summer and they're going to do just fine.
Yeah,
I think they could pull it off, and they'll have more of a discourse around that game. And I think what I
do it around their June event, maybe.
Exactly. Have something to maybe say, like, celebrate Xbox for like a good month, a few weeks before their big showcase in June. It's going to make it feel nice. And I don't feel like, when we talk about the social media aspect, I think that's like 2% of the audience. You know what I mean? Like, not even. But I do think there's a sense with Xbox where they do want a game to have legs in terms of the conversation, and the conversation not being if this game made the purity test, or like if this like saved Xbox, quote unquote. I think they just want a game that has a really good discussion around it, that I feel like that's what they probably want. or it would be like a nice thing to have.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope that it would be ready for that time. So we'll see. Either way, I mean, yeah, I'm pumped for it. So I think
Absolutely.
one of the things I was going to mention is I did a preview of this game, and one of the most anticipated games I have from Xbox this year is Towerborn.
Yes.
And that game looks just incredible to me. It's right up my alley in a number of ways. I was surprised not to see that here, because when going back to the conversation with Matt Booty back in this past June, Towerborn was specifically called out as a 2024 release. Like, this game's coming soon. There's a preview on Xbox Wire about it. And we've seen quite a bit of that, at least early on. So I was surprised not to see that here. I wonder if either it's just another game they couldn't fit into this presentation, which is great, or didn't want to for some reason, or if, something's gone on where they feel it's going to be a little longer in dev than they initially anticipated.
And for folks at home, what is Towerborn?
Towerborn,
you're born of a tower.
Oh,
and when you become a full tower, you then birth more towers.
Oh wow, okay.
So it's a tower defense game.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
That's
pure tower defense. Yeah, no, it is. Once you grow tall enough as a tower. No, Towerborn is a 4-player co-op kind of hack and slash action RPG. So think Diablo meets Dragon's Crown type thing.
Wow.
I was going to go with Golden Axe.
Golden Axe is the classic, of course. Good shout out. These young bucks don't know.
No, they will though. Sega's bringing them back, baby.
Sega. But yeah, the art style is beautiful. 4-player co-op with looting I love. You just hang out with your friends, kill things, loot, build up your character. And it just looks very fantastic. So if you missed that for some reason or haven't seen it, I believe there's a video of it you can find obviously on Xbox YouTube. We have a small preview of it I did, like I said, on SG, so you can check that out. But definitely one I'm really excited about. But anyway, when I heard there was a developer direct, the first thing I thought is, cool, we're going to see more Towerborn. And then it wasn't there, and instead we got Aura, which, again, not downplaying Aura, but I fully expected to see Avowed, Hellblade, Towerborn, at least those 3. So it's kind of.
And truthfully, I've not heard of Aura until the announcement. Is that also like a Xbox second party game?
It was announced in June at the showcase.
Oh, okay.
If my memory serves, it may be a different show. But it is from. Twice. Yeah, I think they've shown it twice. I think you're right. It's from the developers who did Civilization 5. They left and formed a new company. So it's technically a new developer, but it's not new developers. So the pedigree is there to make a really solid game, which I think is why Xbox probably picked it up. Whether or not it's being treated like a second party as a console exclusive, I don't recall. Chat, if you know.
You just piqued my interest because
it's PC.
Guys, if y'all don't know, Civ 5 is my favorite strategy game of all time. It is up there. Like it's probably my top 25 games of all time.
Really? Oh, well, there you go. Skywalker, by the way, says it is published by Xbox. So awesome. June showcase last year. So anyway, yes, that's what it is. So I mean, Civ has that, I wouldn't call it an ultra mainstream audience, but it is a very dedicated audience. So probably why Xbox decided to pick this one up.
Awesome to see Xbox like go, as the kids say, balls deep with strategy games, because like seeing like Age of Empires get like its renaissance,
they've crushed it. Yeah,
like seeing like now Aura, like y'all don't understand. When you said Civ 5, I lit up. Like this is now suddenly this is probably my most anticipated game here. But just looking at some screenshots, like
Civ. Well, you got a hell of a showcase here for you then.
Yeah,
you got Indie, Hellblade, Aura, and then Avowed, of course. I don't know. We touched on it briefly. I'm super pumped for Avowed because I love those RPG style games. But I don't know where you are on that one, Joe.
I'm sorry, Avowed. I don't like the art direction. I thought that was not my jam. But Obsidian doesn't miss. I do believe that they are. They are probably alongside Ninja Theory really like one of the best studios out there. It's kind of like they're like the Insomniac, like, type of studio.
Yeah, we always
where it's like,
say Obsidian and Insomniac are
Yeah.
one and the same. Yeah.
because like these are studios that, and we talked actually a little bit on it on the trophy room when we talked about the Insomniac hacks. It's like, I'm really glad that studios like a Ninja Theory and Obsidian have the financial backing finally to make the games that they want to make. And like, so for me, though I'm not blown away by Avowed, and I wasn't the biggest fan of oh my god, Outer Worlds.
Oh, come on. Okay,
He doesn't know. He doesn't know.
I,
It's okay.
I'm a big dumb idiot, folks. I'm a big dumb idiot. But like,
He's like, what's a Starfield?
exactly.
It is not Starfield.
No. I appreciate that game. It's just like, it's one of those. It's like, it's not for me, but I could see the greatness in it.
Can
but
I
like,
can I sell this? Can I sell Avowed to you?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so this is the main team that broke away from Bethesda. Like, this is the main Skyrim team that's been working on Avowed. They had an art director shift midway through project, which is why we saw like the original trailer versus now the new stuff. So that's kind of why the look looks different. But I guarantee you, the systems that you loved about Skyrim are going to be what this game is. Do you
think it's going to be smaller in scope though? Because the thing about Outer Worlds was it felt like not so much worlds as more of like some pretty wide corridors.
They were hubs. Yeah, they were hubs.
All right. First off, I have to learn you a little bit here. The Outer Worlds were the worlds away from all of the main stuff. They were the outer worlds.
No, I get
Nobody
that.
goes.
I get that.
Okay. All right. That's fine.
It just felt like I was in
a
very wide corridor is all it is. And so it felt a little bit too guided.
That is the one criticism I had as well, to back you up, Joe, of Outer Worlds. What I really loved about Outer Worlds was the kind of dynamic nature of what you could do with the conversations and the quests and things like that. It was fantastic. I did agree that for me, someone that loves to just go off in a world and explore, it was a little bit of a letdown.
Yeah,
but I still love the game.
Who knows? Maybe off of Baldur's Gate, I could see the conversation systems that they got and appreciate those more.
So I will say that the writing and the conversations for Avowed should be really good. A lot of the systems that you are familiar with Skyrim will be present, including encumbrance for Ains, because I know he loves it. But this is going to be essentially a smaller version of Skyrim for the fans out there, which is, I mean, Joe, you're always talking about wanting shorter games.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's true. No, that is true. And now that they have the financial backing, that I think that we're going to see a game that doesn't feel like a really wide corridor. It feels like a nice, beautiful world. Listen, you sold me on Skyrim because Skyrim is one of my favorite RPGs, and just the things that happen to you along your journey, that excites me. Because knowing Obsidian, they're gonna probably do Skyrim better than Bethesda. So, yeah, that gets me a little bit more optimistic. Not gonna lie. Yeah, I think. Listen, for the first time in a very long time, as a PlayStation guy, I am way more excited for what Xbox is cooking up than PlayStation at the very point in time.
I was going to say, for our audience that's listening and hanging out with us tonight, it's going to be a lot of Xbox focus on the show, just because that's where the news is right now. So, I mean, that's kind of expected. So, any other thoughts before we move on to a couple other topics? Any other thoughts on the Xbox Developer Direct?
No, just best of luck to him,
Joe, do you think that Sony's going to try and pick up this style of showcase? They seem to kind of play around with their style every couple of years.
I don't know, man. I really don't.
You can hear the present disdain for the lack of communication from PlayStation.
It's bad, man. I don't even expect, like, this next State of Play that's in a few weeks. I don't even expect it to be good. like last September was legitimately a great show. I thought it was better than the actual showcase that they had. But PlayStation has to really show what the hell is in the later half of this year. I know what's coming in, January, February, March, But then after March, I know nothing. And that's where I start getting concerned about the communication over at PlayStation, because it's like, okay, usually you guys have a big game in the holiday. Do you have anything there this time around?
They're buying Nintendo.
I mean, that's the rumor, right? They're going to start a power company. Yeah.
I think they're going to lean heavily on the final shape with Destiny 2 this year.
You
as
think
far
so?
as like their stuff goes, because I don't know that they have a whole lot that we've seen kind of leaked or teased lately, and I think it's clear from what we know now that Wolverine is still a ways out. So
yeah, I think their change in direction has screwed the pooch for the next year, plus. Like, I think in terms of last year where it was a little bit slow, and this year, look at improved Luke just up and left. Is this really all too improved?
I don't care what you think, Joe.
Yeah, it's like, all right, let's shoot. That I do think them changing course. We're gonna see them do more second party and X dev stuff, which is like Stellar Blade and whatever have you. So like, or Rise of Ronin. I think that's what we're gonna see from PlayStation this year. We're not gonna see anything I think too big, but you know what? I would like to will into existence Ghost of Tsushima 2. I love that.
Dude, don't put that out into ether. I'm not ready for Ghost 2 yet.
My Jin statue is directly like.
Let me see it.
Oh
Jesus God. Christ, that's so beautiful.
And then Aloy's right next. Oh,
damn it! Those are two.
Remember, I hate PlayStation though. I hate them.
Just need those two to have a baby.
You're an Xbox. Yeah, you're a huge Xbox.
Oh shit! Now I moved it too far. Now I'm screwed up. There we go. All right.
It's funny because I got the Aloy mammoth collectors behind me on this side, and then I got the Destiny first party collectors on this side.
Nice.
I got the Master Chief helmet and soon to be formerly Xbox exclusive, the Halo Master Chief helmet from Halo 3.
How dare you?
And formerly Xbox exclusive,
dare you, sir.
Gears 3 statue.
Doesn't your girlfriend need you for something?
I was going to teach you about the fact. I was going to be like, are you going to play Indiana Jones when it comes out, or are you going to wait for the port in 3 years?
I'll wait for the port in 3. Well, it depends on how that platinum looks,
Oh no! Don't you start. We're not doing that here.
No, I think that's
okay. He'll get a save. He'll get a save from online and just claim it that way, so that he can say that he did it.
Some people think that's strange. I think that's very normal. I think that's very normal behavior. For those of you who don't know, because maybe you don't listen to the trophy, you should. Baldur's Gate 3, I had a corrupted trophy.
Here we go.
I definitely got the trophy. I definitely did all the parts, but it didn't. The trophy didn't pop. So I went on the PC because I had the PC version of Baldur's Gate. I got a save that had that trophy on it.
So Ains, what was the other thing that you wanted to?
That sounds normal.
That does not sound normal. Yeah, I think that's one of those things that only sounds normal because you live in that echo chamber. It doesn't sound normal. Yeah.
It sounds completely sane.
Does anybody know how I can get the platinum for this?
There's a whole Reddit forum, and they
echo.
Just see him with like a pen and pad. Dear Jim Ryan, I wanted to let you know that this evening I too completed the platinum for Baldur's Gate 3. However, it did not pop for me due to not saving 3 little creatures.
He gets a Polaroid back of a cat. Like, what?
He flips it on the back and it just like says, "Can you send me the molds for your ears still?"
Oh no.
Oh no, Jim. Where was I going to go next here?
Can I just say shout out Alan Wake? Because listen, they knew that this was a problem. They also had a glitch trophy there, and they actually went and fixed it. They just gave everybody the commercial that should have popped. So good on that.
Okay, cool.
So we matter. Okay.
Well, I think I was going to talk about Prince of Persia, but that's more of a segue. So I think we might as well segue into the conversation that is circling the dark spaces of social, which I just have so little patience for.
We know who to blame. We know what their names are.
Where were you when Xbox died, guys. Where were you? I was at work. I was sitting on the toilet and I looked at my phone and I saw rumor.
You looked at your phone. That was the mistake right there.
Hi-Fi Rush coming to Switch. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I went about my day. And then it's lunch now. No. And I see Sea of Thieves coming to PlayStation ? And I am so hyped that I'm going to be able to play Sea of Thieves on my PlayStation. Maybe.
Maybe.
Dot. Maybe.
So let's kind of start with the concept, right?
Okay.
So the obvious rumor, right, is that some of what we know as potential IPs and some properties of Xbox may eventually land on other platforms, be it Switch, whatever the Switch 2 is, or PS5. Yeah. The current rumors that you just said, right, is Hi-Fi Rush potentially going to Switch, Sea of Thieves potentially going to PS5. What do you have any concerns or thoughts or hard opinions about this if Xbox would choose to do that direction?
Yes.
Go for it.
If they decide to go,
do you know what Sea of Thieves is, Logan? Do we need to educate you on that one?
Sir, I have the receipts.
As he holds up
here.
He has a plea pun too.
I don't know if you can see right here.
Yeah.
That is the keel-hauled name in a ship crest.
That's awesome.
Blown out because it's a terrible camera.
It is.
The whole case is practically Sea of Thieves. There's like a little bit of Warcraft down here and a little bit of Nintendo down there. I love you too. Sorry, my cat is like going crazy. I don't know what's up with motion sensor.
My dog's going crazy too. Everybody's trying to corral her behind me. So
do you think? I guess we'll start with. Do you think they'll hold any weight, or is this just nonsense?
I don't think that Sea of Thieves is going to come to PlayStation or other platforms in the next year. As someone who's covered Sea of Thieves for like closing in on 6 years now as of February, that studio is 100% focused on trying to make sure that they are hitting a seasonal cadence with their content. They're constantly trying to reform like how they approach releasing content. They just released a full like remake of a Monkey Island game in their game, which is a point and click adventure that they did in 3D. Honestly, I don't think that the studio really has like the mental bandwidth to really approach like, who are we going to have do the ports if we can't do them? Now, if you were to grab like Saber Interactive and say like, okay, take Sea of Thieves, Unreal Engine 4 with the modded code that it is and port it over to Switch, I think it's possible. But do I think it's probable? I don't. And I think a lot of that just comes down to where is the time being spent. Sea of Thieves is still one of the top games for Microsoft right now. I think there's still a lot of cachet with that IP. And the next year and the last 6 months have been focusing on trying to ensure that the community is content, that they have stuff to look forward to, that they've done foundational changes to the game, and one of them even coming up in the next couple weeks here that will really kind of set up Sea of Thieves as a game that can handle the next 5 years worth of content. So to bring that to other platforms, I think would do well for a player base, but to say that this is something that's going to happen in the next year, I think would be very surprising for me as someone who knows a lot of the team over there. I don't think any of the team over there is aware of anything like this going on. And if they are, they've been very hush about it.
I was going to say, as someone who covers Sea of Thieves with your Keel Hall podcast, which is fantastic, everybody should check it out. How would you feel if this, like, next week they're like, oh, Sea of Thieves ported to PlayStation? Would you be like, well, son of a gun, here goes all my credentials. Like, here goes all my, If
they were to do
I've been lied to for years.
If they were to do it, I I would be. I'm totally fine if Sea of Thieves wants to make its way to Switch. If it wants to make its way to PlayStation, I'm cool with that. I don't care if that happens. My only concern is the strain that puts upon the Rare team, because that Rare studio is 200 to 300 deep with a new barn that they just built out. It's not a huge studio. It's not like a Fortnite that can really kind of cover all bases and stuff. Right. And they have 2.5, 3 support studios already. So like they are trying to keep up with just maintaining their game as a service as it is. And I don't know if adding platforms makes that an issue or not, but that's my main concern.
I should say a little harder, you know.
I'll be completely honest. I'll be completely honest about this. Similar to you, Joe, like the new year kicks off. It's like, all right, we just came off an amazing year of games. We got great outlook for games in 2024 already. I get my Prince of Persia review code, which I'll touch on here in a little bit with my review.
Same.
And I'm like, all right, great start to the year. And then I, get on the socials and see this nonsense. And I'm like, are we doing this already? Like, can't we get a break from the constant speculation and rumors and stuff? And I'll be honest with you, 100%, I just don't care. I just don't care. Like again, I've said this so many times, but with all of the cool things going on in the industry, not just with Xbox and everything with Developer Direct and their studios and the IPs they're working on and all that, which is great as an Xbox fan, but just games in general, right? All the development studios and what we see at the indies and all this stuff that we could be talking about and celebrating, or even calling out on some of the negative side with some of the layoffs and everything else we've talked about, right? All of that to me is more important than whether or not Sea of Thieves ends up on a PlayStation. It just doesn't matter. Like if you love that game, like Logan and that community, it doesn't matter. It's not going to detract from you, other than the fact, to Logan's point, I'd be a little concerned about potential development strain. But I think overall, the community, it's not that big of a deal. It just doesn't matter. That said, I don't think this holds a lot of cadence and a lot of weight, because I think we've talked a lot on the show around Xbox's direction from an ecosystem perspective, and their focus is in terms of engaging players and getting players in the ecosystem, whether or not they own a Series X or S or not, getting them in the ecosystem and having them engage in that. And this essentially kind of, in some ways, would counter that direction. You still would have to authenticate on Xbox Live, which, without going down the technical kind of aspects of this, as soon as you put a Xbox first party game on a PlayStation, you're talking about logging into PSN and then building that API connection to Xbox Live to authenticate it as an Xbox Live user or a Game Pass user, whatever that is. It's just a very strange kind of thing that just doesn't happen. It's not like just taking a single player game and putting it on another platform. That's not how that would work. There's a lot more that has to go into it. And to Logan's point, it just doesn't seem like, I don't have the feeling that there's teams spending their time and effort on that, because it's not only a lot of effort that would seem to really not have the dividends that it looks like on paper, but it detracts from the whole sell of the Xbox ecosystem, collective PC Xbox crossplay, everything you get with Game Pass and cross progression. It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense in that vein. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot here, but Hi-Fi Rush being a single player game that you could just put on a platform like Switch, that's a little more feasible in my eyes. But again, I don't really care. I mean, Hi-Fi Rush is a great game if it gets a bigger audience and Xbox takes a cut of those profits to develop more games like Hi-Fi Rush.
No, that's a way out. That's a way out, Ains. Okay,
what?
That's such a non-answer. Oh, what about Xbox though? Why even buy an Xbox if Hi-Fi Rush gets to be played?
I thought you were being serious
Switch.
for a second. Like what?
And scene.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to take single one-off games that don't require all that integration work and throw them on a Switch or whatever, and you're going to make additional profits, get more exposure to that game, and then just use that money to fund more development for studios like Tango, where's the harm in that?
Well, then the less people are going to buy Xbox games.
So that's kind of a well, no, there is a point to that. There is a point to that because
Oh, okay,
as we
all
were
right.
talking about, this is one of those situations where I, as an Xbox predominantly main player, I love the hardware that Microsoft has been producing, and I think that there's a lot of features that cross over because of what Xbox has been doing this generation and what Sony's been doing. We've obviously seen like the DualSense being something that everyone really kind of gravitates toward with the haptics there, but also Quick Resume is just one of those things that is almost like an expectation now with Xbox to be able to have, and to not have those two hardware giants kind of like going head to head in competition, because one is more concerned with expanding, you know, their brand as opposed to building out the exclusive libraries. Then with the removal of hardware, you kind of lose something because Nintendo's not going to compete on the same level as Sony will.
Because they don't have to, like that. And like, so for me, I'm kind of like, I'm in between you and Ains here. Because the way I see it is like, I don't care as long as I keep getting the game. Like I live in the in my head, I kind of think of it like there's gonna be a day where like Spider-Man's on Xbox. It's not gonna lessen Spider-Man's impact because it's still a fantastic game. You know, so like it's not like MLB The Show came on to, you know, Xbox and it was suddenly a lesser experience. It's like, no, it's still a really great sports game. So like for me, a part of it's like, as the to kind of bring two stories together, as what the hack has shown us out of Insomniac Games is there's a big problem with AAA development where the budgets are getting bigger and bigger, and these platforms are finding that, you know, there's only so much of a ceiling that they can hit until they can't get any further. So if that means that like Sea of Thieves goes on a PlayStation and that buys them some more time so I could keep getting content on Sea of Thieves, then who cares? Right? If they find millions of other people on PlayStation and on Switch, I still keep getting the game that I love. No one's harmed. It's a 6-year-old game, for Christ's sakes. Same with Hi-Fi Rush. You know, that game is great, but it's also a beat rhythm game. And those games don't particularly perform the way like a Call of Duty would. They're very niche titles. And so to get that game on the more, you know, to get that game more eyes on it, yeah, go port it to Switch. I think the Switch crew would love that stuff. You know, it's kind of the same vein of like when the PlayStation folks were freaking out over PC, and we from the jump were like, get used to it. It's going to happen. And we like it actually be, hopefully in the near future, day and date. So we get more of these games sold so that it helps, you know, fund the development onto the next game. Games are getting more and more expensive, and we're seeing companies take less and less risks. And I do champion the portfolio that Xbox has. It's so varied. Or like a Civ game, a strategy game in this economy, like, and Microsoft saying, yeah, no, we believe in it. Like a beat rhythm game, like from Tango, yeah, no, we'll fund it. Like they're doing a whole lot, and they're making a whole lot of projects, and some more riskier than the others. So let them find the money where the money is. And so for me, I don't personally care. I just want to make sure that, you know, the only thing that matters to me, joking aside from minutes ago, is that like, you know, the people at Rare are healthy and happy working there, and they're not working, you know, 80-hour, you know, work weeks to, you know, get a exclusive pair of pant, right? So like, to me, that's what really matters. So as long as the dev team's happy, I'm happy. So long as I keep getting the great game, right, it's great.
I got two points that I want to call into for both of you. First point, do you both feel like this is less of an issue because you know you already have the other consoles?
I think that could play a part.
That's an interesting question. Yeah, it may play a part.
Okay.
I think that not this kind of a sidestep, but what I was which ties to your question, Logan, is my thought is I just wanted to add to Joe's point, which is the way I see it, right? We're not talking about Xbox going third party, and we're not talking about Xbox taking all of its IPs. Like I don't see Hellblade 2 launching on PS5, right?
No.
If we're talking about games that have been out, had their run, and are either live service like a Sea of Thieves, which I've been clear, I don't think's happening, or something like
You're
a
calling Jeff
Hi-Fi
Grubb a
Rush.
liar? Are you calling Jeff Grubb a liar?
You call him whatever you want.
He's calling Jeff Grubb's informants
Liars.
passing along information that may not be accurate.
But I again, it would, if you're talking about picking and choosing an IP here and there to maybe share on another platform, I think that's a different conversation than the ridiculous one, which is Xbox is going third party. That's just noise that's thrown out there to annoy people.
Yeah.
But anyway, to your point, Logan, I hadn't thought about it that way, but I don't think it matters either way. Even if I didn't have the other systems, I don't think it would affect me.
Other people enjoying the game I like, I don't care. Like, you know, the company's health is like important to an extent, but like to me, it's like, well, if everybody's like making money and having fun, like, who cares? Like, the one thing that I think annoys me, and it's again, it goes back to social media, is that we have people that are acting like they got business and law degrees, and then physics degrees, and then engineering degree. Like it just it's so annoying that like everything is awesome one day and then like Xbox is doomed the next, and then PlayStation's doomed the next, and then like the Switch 2, is it coming this year? Obviously it is. It's like you're getting the same tired explanation from the you know, the same guys making the same video in the same week. You know what I mean? Like it's just it's getting overdone. And I think I think we're starting to overanalyze things, and I think it's much more simple, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So
go ahead. What's the second one, Logan?
The second point that I wanted to bring up was one with Joe. You talked about how Spider-Man was an ever-growing cost, and AAA games are an ever-growing cost.
Yeah.
To call into this point, Hi-Fi Rush, much smaller project, only been out a year. Sea of Thieves made up its money a long time ago with microtransactions. I know I spend on average probably about $200 a year on Sea of Thieves that I've bought like 2 or 3 times at this point on different platforms and stuff. So I'm sure that they've probably got plenty of money from that. But are those something that should be held in the same regard as these AAA experiences that are not getting finished, that the money is like, you know, you see the arguments of people saying, oh, I can't believe Spider-Man 2's player base dropped off a week after playing it or a month after playing it. It's like that conversation always comes up, but it's only kind of tied to like single player titles or like those AAA titles. Do you think that Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush really falls into those categories?
Oh, that's a really good question. And again, it goes back to like for me, it's like why port Sea of Thieves? Like, is it only is it because you think maybe you hit that ceiling and you're looking at the other ecosystems going, there's money to be had there. This is a live service game. Minecraft has done well here, so maybe this could do well there. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and it at the same exact time doesn't make much sense. So like when I hear the arguments of like, oh, Starfield's player base dropped by whatever number in December, it's like, yeah, it's a single player game that launched in September. I think probably Hi-Fi Rush is, and again, this is coming from someone that don't know any better, the Hi-Fi Rush is probably getting ported to Switch because what Ains said earlier, it's to get more eyes on it. And maybe that shadow drop wasn't the wisest move for Xbox. Maybe they needed more time to market it, and they go, okay, well, listen, we really like Tango. They're a really great studio. Obviously, there's critical acclaim to this IP. And we want now more hands on it as we make Hi-Fi Rush 2. So we'll port it over to Switch, and we'll see if we can convert some players on the Switch, you know, that a lot of people is, Switch is like their secondary console, so that they go and they play it on, PC and Xbox for Hi-Fi Rush 2. That could be it. But for Sia, and also to put some even a finer point here, we're just assuming it's Hi-Fi Rush 2. One guy was just like, hey, I saw in Australia they rated this, they could have rated it here. We all just assume it could be Pentiment. It could be like a Minecraft DLC. Like it could be anything. So we just assume it's Hi-Fi Rush because they're like, is this a game of the year? And first off, I hate when they're like, it's a riddle you have to solve. It's like, this was once a very talked about game of the year game. It's like, okay, Nate the Hate, could we, can I get a vowel? Like, it's like, so to me, it's like, it could be Pentiment. It could be anything, and it could be nothing. So for me, I'm like, I'd rather wait and see. I'd rather, and listen, if it's the case and it comes, Xbox, it's not dead, guys. Can we stop? Can we just?
Yeah. So on that point, I was going to say, because just to respond a little bit to Pyro and Gamefire and some of the others in the chat, I think the other thing to keep in mind too is like we started the show talking about Developer Direct and just how big Xbox is now, right? Like, especially after ABK, and how many studios they have, how many IP rights they own, how many games are in development, all of those things. So I think that more than anything in the console space now, given the scope of what Xbox is, you can feel, and anyone can feel, very, very confident in being a part of the Xbox ecosystem, right? Like if they haven't demonstrated to you in the past 5-6 years that they're serious about gaming and going all in, as the phrase that's been thrown around by Satya a few years ago, I mean, it's right in front of us. We're seeing it happen, right? So I
think Satya's quote was balls deep, by the way.
Balls deep, yeah. So could you imagine Satya saying that? That'd be great.
Balls deep.
We're going balls deep. Yeah. But I think, like, even if an IP, like I said, here and there goes, like the vast amount of games that are coming to Xbox and Game Pass and that ecosystem it's enormous. So I'm more confident now, and I'm one of those guys who stand the hell out of the original Xbox as PlayStation 2 was dominating the market, and all of that was going on. My poor Dreamcast was dying. I was standing the hell out of the original Xbox because I love that system, and lived through the beauty of the 360, which I still think is one of the greatest consoles of all time.
Same.
And I've never been as confident in Xbox as I am now. I mean, they're just, they're all, again, they're all in. Like the amount of work going on behind the scenes and with all those studios is crazy. And investment.
Just imagining Ains holding the Duke controller, be like, "No, guys, it's normal.
It's the best."
It's normal.
Of course, I have a little Halo bias as well, so that was a big part of it. But still.
Real talk, I remember pressing the black and white buttons. Are you kidding me? I love the Duke controller. I'll still stand by it. It doesn't give me carpal tunnel. Shut up.
I got a Duke on my Halo 2 Xbox right over there. The funny thing about the buttons on the Duke too, if you don't remember, the buttons on the Duke were ovals and they were rounded like that on the top. So after pressing them for a long period of time, it actually hurt your thumb. You're like, God damn it.
Do I really need to turn on the flashlight? I think I'm good.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I think like
great.
Full confidence in Xbox and that ecosystem, and really excited about it. Only because for me, to Joe's earlier point, I think we've all been kind of clamoring about PlayStation and just like, what are you doing? Talk to us, for God's sakes.
I know you got a month left, but Jesus Christ, Jim.
do something. And then Nintendo, Nintendo's always kind of its own conversation in a way. It's not up my alley like they used to be. So it's just, it's a different conversation.
And that Switch is stellar, and it's selling like hotcakes. And like,
it's crazy.
When we take a look at like the Switch's numbers and like the games that they sell, Animal Crossing did like $43 million. Like, it's nuts what they're able to make. It's because they're the best. They're the best in the business. Like, let's be honest.
Mario Kart 8 has sold over 60 million on Switch, and it's a Wii U game. What the hell is going on?
Like, that was a conversation point that I wanted to bring up with where you were saying how Nintendo doesn't have to compete hardware wise. And it's because of their exclusives, because they've garnered that,
It's true.
that faith and didn't bring their stuff to other platforms.
Well, I think it's not just like it's their exclusive they get exclusive hardware stuff because they've cornered the market on family games. No one can do it like Nintendo can, and when they can, it's like a rare occurrence, like a Rayman Legends, a Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, like it, Astro, like it's few and far between. And when it's kind of like when you own a market that much, you kind of get to dictate the terms. And listen, they'll sell you overpriced, handhelds with cartridges that'll poison you. And
I'll buy their cardboard. God damn it!
Exactly, you'll buy the goddamn cardboard.
Well, their brand just has so much cachet and history and nostalgia, and there's a lot that factors into that. And chat, sorry, I want to respond more to you guys. My keyboard is literally not working. So I can't type. That's why I'm trying to call some comments out. But yeah, I think brand identity is important. Just to close out on this topic with Pyro's comment is I think brand identity is important for Xbox too. And, if you think about their journey in the past several years from 360 to Xbox One, we're not going to rehash that. And then Spencer coming in, Game Pass, and then you have Bethesda acquisition, you have ABK acquisition. When you talk about a brand identity, that's a lot of massive change. And it can be challenging to be clear sometimes. I kind of empathize in a way because, again, I deal with some of this in my professional career. But, ensuring, and I think Phil does the best he can of ensuring the Xbox players who play a lot in that ecosystem about what his intentions are. Obviously, when you take 9,000 clips of him over several years, you're going to find some conflicting statements here and there. But I think generally speaking, they're doing their best as to kind of, show what that identity is. And I think that June was a good example of that. I think this developer direct is a good example of that. And I think that, I'm just really confident in their commitment to me as a player in that space.
Yeah. And to kind of end it on this weird point, but it's been something it's always in the back of my mind because I'm a Star Wars fan, is like now knowing that like there's a woman head of Xbox, which is awesome to see. But God forbid Xbox makes or does something that the fan base doesn't like. Are they going to Kathleen Kennedy, Sarah Bond? That's the thing that I get really nervous about, is because I don't want the scapegoat in. Bring Phil back. He had all the ideas. It's like, it's a team effort, guys. God damn it. Please stop. God, Jesus. Stop demanding to see her gamer tag, like to see like what her trophies, Jesus, her achievements look like if she's a real gamer, that type of bull crap that females have to constantly deal with. That's the thing that I don't know, gets me. Dan Rodriguez writes, did Luke get some sun? Not as pasty as usual. Looking good. I know, he's looking good. I think it's the hat.
Is that?
I think it's that.
Yeah.
That blonde hair just everywhere.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. And so it wouldn't be Cast Call without me having some sort of tech issue. What was I going to say? So while just to close this out, Halo Season 2 trailer today.
Yes.
I got to say, boys, as someone who is a little bit invested in Halo, just a little bit, my disappointment with Season 1 was palpable. This trailer got me cautiously excited because it is far more what I want to see out of a Halo TV show. Obviously, they're diving into Reach and the history of Reach and what happened there, which is, a huge pivotal moment in the whole Covenant War. One of the most kind of written about, and obviously, Halo Reach the game and everything kind of commented on periods in that IP. And I really liked what I saw out of the trailer today. So I have a small amount of hope, and I know it's the hope that kills you, but I have a small amount of hope that these new showrunners who are here for Season 2, because let's remember, the showrunners of Season 1 are gone. I'm hoping to hell the showrunners have done us proud and will correct the arc of where this show is going.
I don't know.
Can I just say that looking at the trailer, it looks like they were like, hey, we're gonna do season 2. We want to get a focus group together to see like what Halo fans want. And the only thing anyone from that focus group actually put was plasma swords in fog. You're like, all right.
Yeah.
Make a
So
whole
They're like, nailed it.
they're just walking back to their boss going, so Group B had a very interesting idea. They said swords, and then they said smoke machine question mark. No, listen, I like Ains. I get it. I host a PlayStation show, whatever. Everybody knows I'm a multi-platform gamer. At the end of the day, I grew up with the OG Xbox. Halo is one of my favorite. It's one of my most beloved franchises in my child heart. You know, that is, man, Combat Evolved means a lot to me. Like, I would not be a gamer without Halo. That said, I watched as much as I could of the Halo show. And it's kind of like when Master Chief took off his helmet, I kind of understood what my uncle who's not invited to Thanksgiving anymore feels like. I felt anger. I felt just pure hatred of like, why'd you take off your helmet? Why did you do that? Why did you show your whole ass? Why are you having sex? why does this chick have a mullet? Like, and I just started getting angry. And they're like, this is why we can't bring you to Thanksgiving, dude. It's like, all right, I get it. The world's changing. But I look at this trailer and I can't help but get excited. It's like
the funny thing is, if you notice, they show Chief just glaring with his helmet on like several times during the trailer, and I'm like, I think they're trying to address, hey, he's in his suit more this time.
God, I hope. Well, there's a part where he's fighting and it's in his like he's in a white beater, and I'm like, no. This is still cool, but like, where's your suit? There has to be a logical reason why you're not wearing your goddamn suit. Okay.
Yeah. I was trying to feel out the same thing. I know the part you're talking about, and I'm like, okay, so are they gonna make it so that, you know, when the Reach attack happens, which was a surprise attack, right, in the lore, when that happens, where the Spartans kind of in their barracks, if you will, and you know, that's kind of what they were hinting at there. But I'm with you. I got annoyed a lot in season 1, especially like when he took out his chip, you know, and then I think is it Kai also took out her chip. And, you know, they start feeling emotions. And I'm like, guys, come on. What are we doing? Like, this is not what this is about. So, I don't know. But anyway, sorry, Joe, I cut you off.
No, God bless my best friend, Amy, who had to sit. When I say I turn into the uncle, I really do. When I saw the first like season 2 trailer, I went on a 10-minute rant with my best friend, who is not a gamer in the slightest, of how, you know, the problems with Halo stemmed when they walked away from the alien influences. I'm like, when they moved away from Ridley Scott into this new type of thing, I don't like it. And then I talked about like, you know, I would really love to see a Ridley Scott take on Halo. And it was just, I look at this trailer and I see hope. All right, long story short. But I also see the same things that worried me about season 1, being, why is your helmet off? That said, I will go, and I'm gonna walk into season 2 with an open mind. And I'm gonna give it 1 episode. I don't need any of the backstory of season 1. Season 1's dead to me. I'm just gonna go into season 2, and whatever. I'll have questions, whatever. I don't care. Hopefully, these showrunners are better. Hopefully. You know, people lost their jobs over season 1, so let's hope that these new guys. No,
what do you think, Logan? What were your thoughts on season 1? Did you watch season 1?
I did watch season 1.
Okay.
The best part about season 1 was the last 10 minutes when Cortana had control. That was my favorite part of that. It was the most Halo of the series.
There were some good parts of that show. You just had to pick them out of a series of bad parts.
Oh man.
A lot of bad parts.
So the thing that I think makes Halo for me is when Master Chief has an arch nemesis for the games. When there's the arbiter, or or if it's like overwhelmingly just the flood in general, but you've got the overmind. There's always like one antagonist that is the thing that calls into question whether Chief can actually do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
I don't see that with this trailer. I see a lot of war, and I see a lot of elites, and I see a lot of people looking at each other with emotions. And I don't see the personal story that is Chief that I'm invested in. And I think they went too hard to try and like humanize Master Chief in the first season. And I see them trying to move away from that and put that upon tertiary characters right now, which I think is going to have the opposite effect. Instead of it just being a Chief Spartan story focusing on dealing with one antagonist who is trying to take over the world, and just make it a Lex Luthor Superman story and go with that. I don't think you can tell the story the way that they're telling it and have it feel compelling unless you go the reach route, which is to have each individual Spartan who's got a very good personality that is a very strong part of a team, and you slowly whittle them away as you're moving through the story. And then that's what makes it more important to your main protagonist.
I would love to see this like a Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
Like, yeah, you're right. Like you're whittling the platoon down as they, as the story progresses. That would be awesome. But yeah, there was, I understand why they went the way that they did, because I think they'd be like, oh, if we kept the helmet on, people are just gonna call us Mandalorian. We want to do something that, or a Mandalorian clone or whatever. We want to do something different. It's just, man, they took a hard left. You're right. Your concerns I echo. I'm hoping for the best though. I see some cool shit. I hope season 3 we hear Master Chief say, "I'm giving back the Covenant their bomb." Like that's all. That's all I hope. It's a little thing.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll see. I don't know. We're less than a month away from it debuting. Dan says in the first 10 minutes, Quan and Soren's planet should blow up with them on it. Series saved.
Yes. Is that the chick with the mullet?
Yeah.
Is she in season 2?
She's not in this trailer, but she has to be. I mean, whether you like her or not, and I know a lot of people don't, she's part of the show. So
fair enough.
I'm okay with this. Good job, Dan.
Dan nailed it. We'll see. Let me talk to you, because I know the show's getting on. I want to talk to you about Prince of Persia.
Yeah, I played a bit.
So yeah, got the this is my first review of 2024. Got the code, I don't know, whenever I messaged you guys last week, and kind of grinded it out. I'm very tired. But I really couldn't put the game down. It was not a chore because the game is superb.
Yeah.
This is from Ubisoft Montpellier, which is the Canadian Ubisoft studio that did Rayman Origins and Rayman Legends, among other things. So they have fantastic pedigree in kind of the 2D space and from a gameplay perspective and artistic direction. And you see all that here. So not only does this game pay really cool homage to classic Prince of Persia that I grew up with, the old Bucks did, but it is a absolutely fantastic Metroidvania game. It starts off strong, invests you immediately, and I promise you, for the people who are starting the demo today, or I know, Joe, you said you started playing. I think you're still pretty early, if I recall.
Yeah, I'm about, I think I've gotten like maybe like 6 bosses down, but like I would say I've gotten 2 main bosses, like the ones that have the cutscenes,
Yeah, so you haven't gotten to the snake yet.
No snake, no slither.
Okay.
Snake.
So yeah, the one thing that surprised me, and I think I joked with someone about this who was also reviewing it, is I fought this one battle, epic battle, and I was like, this has to be the main boss, and it was taking me a few tries, very challenging, and I beat it. And then I looked at the review guide because the game kept going, and I was like, oh my god, I'm only on part 6 of 9. It is a far bigger game than you initially anticipate. The map really expands. You get some really fantastic abilities the Metroidvania aspect of like collecting abilities, being able to go back to different areas, find new things, secrets all over the map. Beautifully executed. And it actually has more heart than I was expecting. I wrote about that in my review. There's some cool characters, there's side stories, and by the late game, like the last 15 to 20%, it is just completely epic. There's a couple battles, which I mean, like once you get to the later kind of main battles, to Joe's point with the cinematics and stuff, it's like straight out of anime. Like it goes crazy. So fantastic game. I cannot recommend it enough. My review is up on SG if you want to read it. They had a weird embargo because the game is doing that thing where if you pay $10 more, you can get it 3 days early. So it releases on the 18th, but early access begins on the 15th. And if you were sharing video footage, you couldn't show more than like the first third of the game before the 15th. So I wrote about the whole game in my review, but our video review is not going to go up until the 15th. So just a call on that. But I gave it a 9. Sensational on the SG scale. It's fantastic. And probably my favorite Metroidvania game since Will of the Wisps, which is...
Oh, really? Wow.
I hold Will of the Wisps way up here.
Did you play Dread?
I played Dread. This is better than Dread in my opinion.
Really? Because like there was so the one thing that I like about this, because I just got past this area, was like you definitely see like they're inspired from, or the inspiration they draw from other games like Metroid Dread. There's very much like an area where I'm just like, oh god, I'm getting PTSD. And like, but like even there, it's like, yeah, we're taking inspiration, but like, holy crap, like the platforming elements are so damn good. Like they feel tight. They do feel like they have
polished.
Yeah, like it feels like when I get through one of the harder platforming elements that I do feel like I achieved something. I think the exploration elements, like, incredible. There are often times where like I'm now just hitting walls because there could be just something hidden. And it's not like, at least maybe you can help me here, there's nothing different about the wall. I just happen to hit it. It's like, oh shit, it's invisible. Let me go and see. The combat as well. I'm getting used to the fact that dodge is R1, L, and L1's parry, or whatever, or L2's parry, so it's on the triggers.
Yeah, triggers.
That messes me up a bit because I'm like, when the blade shines, like, when is enough of me pressing down like gonna trigger that parry? Like there's an extra bit of timing that my brain is not comfortable with right now. But even then, even as I struggle with the combat is fantastic too. Like the abilities that you unlock, and even just the combos that you're able to come up with.
Yeah,
it's
and it just, like I told you, it just expands and expands and expands. Like, and how they do it late in the late game is once you get all of, I think there's 6 of like full on abilities you unlock, and eventually you're like flying through the sky. The platforming gets way more challenging than the early game. And to be clear, it has like 5 difficulty levels and a whole bunch of accessibility things you can turn on to help you. So it could be accessed by nearly anyone. They factor the abilities not only into the level design and the platform, but the combat as well. So like you'll get things where like, you can throw one thing and then you can like lasso someone and pull them towards you and smack them and then airlift them. And I wrote in my review that once you get to the late game, some of the stuff you can pull off is absolutely insane. I can't wait to see some of the clips that people put up because it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, like I like to slide kick people and then like juggle them into the air a little bit. And see how
so you can like juggle them and then you can lasso them and then you can knock them out and you can swing through the environment and come down on them, and it's nuts.
Okay. I have not gotten the lasso yet, so okay, I'm very excited.
That's late. Yeah, it's later.
Yeah. So and that's the one thing I saw in some reviews. It's like, yeah, the game gets good at the 15-hour mark. That's when you unlock everything. And then I see some people going like 5 hours. I'm like, well, I'm at like, and for me, I'm like, I'm at like hour, I think 12, and I've unlocked plenty of stuff, but I'm like, maybe I'm not exploring enough. So that's what I've been going about doing, is like exploring a whole lot more. I've been playing this on PS5, but actually mostly on my PlayStation Portal. And
Oh, cool.
I feel like Metroidvanias for me speak better when they're on a handheld. And I'm just having a blast. I won't mention where I was or else I'll get fired. But I spent a good 3 hours playing on the Portal. I did not know I spent 3 hours playing this game until my Portal ran out of battery. Like that's how much I've been playing this game. When I pick it up, I'm picking it up, man.
It's got a very addicting cadence to it too. Like you always have somewhere else to go, something else to unlock, something else to find, and it's really good in that regard. To your point about Dread, I was actually talking to Elu, who reviewed Dread for us and some of the group, Logan, and I love Dread. Played the hell out of that. I genuinely think this is a better game overall than Dread, because one, I think that it has more character to it. Dread felt, and it was supposed to feel this way, right? But Dread felt a little lifeless at times because of just the environment and where you are, right? Whereas this has actual NPCs and side stories, and it has a lot of lore and all this stuff. And then two, you know how late game Dread, there's a couple of those boss fights, like the one with is it the big bird, or I'm trying to picture it now.
That the big bird is like the last one. Dragon is pretty deep,
Okay, so like those are really epic and fun, right? So this game has several that are as good or better than those.
Interesting.
Yeah, like the early bosses are just warming you up. Once you get, I asked about the snake because that's like a defining point. That's actually where they stop the embargo right now for video. Is once you get past that boss, and that's a major one, and it opens up and you go do these other things. That's where it really kind of takes off and gets crazy. So the last 3 or 4 major bosses are just, like I said, it's almost like an anime. They are nuts.
Wow. Okay, because like Dread is like the first Metroidvania I truly fell in love with. And like those cinematics just made me feel like I'm like, okay, I understand the allure of Samus. Samus is a fucking
Samus is awesome,
dude. Like she's some of the shit she does in Dread. So I love.
Trust me,
what you're saying.
I'm excited. I'm excited for you to get to some of the ones I'm talking about.
I'm hoping to beat it by next week because we had the trophy room. We had the Platties this week. So I was like, I get to not rush this, and I get to, have it for a review by next week for sure.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Did you play Will of the Wisps or Ori 1 and 2?
No, those I didn't get into. But again, having now, I know. Listen, but having because Xbox is dead, dude. It's on Switch. Why do I need to play it? I would like to though. Now having played like Dread and playing this and feeling Metroidvania out, I feel like now that it's actually on Switch, I'd probably play it.
If you get through the end of this and you really enjoy it as much as I did, and I'm talking about, I would highly encourage you to play the Ori games. If you, for some reason, only going to play one of them, play Will of the Wisps. I can't. Okay. It's hard for me to say Will of the Wisps.
Will of the Wisps. Okay. I will.
So.
I shall. Xbox.
Logan, any interest in this one? Sorry, we kind of took over that portion of the conversation.
So I only got to play a bit of the demo. Okay. And playing through the demo, it kind of takes you through some of the different worlds, which was really kind of cool. They unlocked a few of the different items and stuff. I love the equipment system that they've built in. I think it's far more customizable to your build that you would prefer to go than like a Metroid game where you're just kind of stuck with what you want. Or I honestly, the way I was playing through this, it felt a lot like how I felt when I was playing through Hades, where you wanted to kind of like find what you enjoy, but they did encourage you to kind of go beyond what you're comfortable with too, to kind of play with other stuff. The memory system, hands down, one of the coolest things that I like about this game. I love the idea of, because one of the biggest problems I think with Metroidvanias is that you don't always remember why you had like a marker for something. And I'm like, what was that? And you have to work your way all the way back there just to find out that the way to unlock it wasn't actually like a power that you got to be able to unlock it. So having the memory ability to be able to like snapshot what that area looks like, to kind of say like, this
Yep.
is how you get to this. And if you know how to get to this now with the ability, then you can go back and kind of check those out. That was really cool. I love the I can't remember what her name was, but she was like the mage or the wizard lady that kind of sells you your upgrades and stuff.
Oh,
Oh.
I don't remember off the top of my head either.
But yeah, love
starts
that
with an O, yeah.
character. I think that character cracked me up playing through. And overall, the only thing that I really ever have a problem with is the same thing that I have a problem with every Metroidvania, is that when you leave an area through like a doorway and you come back, those enemies like respawn instantly. And it's just whatever it is. There was like one in the demo that it was like a big knight. He had a giant battle axe and he was right after a save. And every single time I left that room, I would have to deal with that guy. And I'm just like,
Yes.
I hate this guy. I don't want to deal with him multiple times. So I wish there was a way, and maybe this is part of the accessibility options for the full game. Maybe this is part of the level or the difficulty system, where if you clear out a room, that you can go and actually just have those guys stay dead to give you the opportunity to kind of play around with the environment. Because there are certain areas where like I wanted to jump up and I wanted to try and see if I could get to certain areas. And every time that I would go beyond a certain point, if I fell back down or if I dropped back down, I would then have to compete with all of the enemies that I'd killed. And given like how roguelike that is with the lack of like health regeneration that you get from stuff, like Metroid's very forgiving. Like it automatically attunes like, okay, you're out of missiles, we'll start dropping missiles. You're out of health, we'll start dropping health. This game does not really do that based on the demo. And that was a point where I was like, I feel like I should be getting health back on a more consistent basis, or at least
You
breaking.
will get
costs to get
abilities or passives that will help in that regard later on.
Yeah.
You can get amulets and also like it'll drop health and arrows that you can refill, but it does so when you're like near the end. So like just killing, like if you're just missing 1 bar of health, you're not going to get health off enemies. It only like
So
keeps
if
it
you
right at
get-
the knife edge.
Yeah, if you get a perfect parry, it has a high chance rate of dropping you health as well. At least that's what
Yeah.
I found. So if you've got a perfect parry off someone and you're on like 1 bar, they're like, and here's a little bit more for you, buddy. Like, oh, thanks.
I ran into an interesting situation where I was trying to suss out what the mechanics were based on the parry system. And I figured out that the gold gleam and the standard attacks you can parry, but for whatever reason I couldn't parry or dodge through red ones.
The red ones are unblockables.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the yellow one means that it's a execution. So if you actually parry the yellow one, you'll insta kill the enemy.
Okay.
And
That's
so
why that was
those animations are wild.
They're awesome.
Every time like I get one, I'm like, oh, this feels so great. And every time I don't get one, I'm like, damn it, I miss out on something really special.
Well, and the cool thing, like I don't know how many of them do it, but a lot of the big bosses as you go will have yellow instances in their repertoire. And if you parry them, you get like a full on cinematic, which will, damage their health quite a bit. It's very cool.
And it looks epic when you do it. Yeah, this game rocks. If you like Metroidvanias, even like I highly recommend it right now, but go check out the review because it's special, man.
And I wasn't alone, right? It got very high reviews.
Yeah.
It's nearly a 90 meta. So which it deserves. So by the way, the shopkeeper, I pulled up the review guide just because I was racking my brain. She is literally just called the Mage.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
That's her name.
I don't know.
I was thinking of Faraba. Faraba is the little girl who you will
That's what I was
find.
thinking.
Yeah, you'll find her like 20 times in different locations around the map, and you can buy a map of each region you find her in as you go, and it just keeps expanding. So pretty cool.
Was it weird? Like, I don't know, because I played through the demo experience. Was it weird kind of coming across her and her just being like, "Oh, hey, how's it going?" You're like, good. Are you here to kill me? You're like, no, you're just a really sweet young person who's willing to help me out for no compensation.
It ties into the lore that they get into later. It really, I wrote in my review, the game really dives into its fantasy roots as the game goes. It gets way out there. So it explains your interactions with her later and why they are the way they are.
That's good.
Yeah.
I'm very happy so far with the cast of characters that they've created. It feels like at some point this should have been something, and I don't know if this is. So sorry if this is a spoiler, but it felt like given the cast of characters, the way Hades was, which is what kind of reminded me of Hades, that you would be able to play through the game as those different characters and have their abilities and their combat
That
mechanics.
would be awesome.
That was
That is
where I
not
was
a thing.
Okay, that's a shame, because I was thinking, I was like, each one of these people seemed like a different style of combat, and much like Hades, it felt like a completely different game when you would play through the game with those different weapons.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if you could actually play through the game with the different characters and stuff, but oh well.
Yeah, you'd have to have the same powers because the level design as it goes are designed around the powers. Like it requires them.
I mean, they could
but-
always do another game like Shovel Knight, come out with Plague Knight, and just redo all the levels and work in the new mechanics.
Can I
We'll
say
see.
go
No,
for it,
Joe,
sorry.
you can't. No, goddamn it, Joe, you can't.
Yeah, Joe, be quiet. No, I was just gonna say, hopefully this game does well and we see more of it because it's great. That's all.
Okay, Ains, you're done. Joe, go ahead.
And no, I would love to see more big publishers have smaller teams doing smaller, more special stuff. Because
And get
I
ported
love
to PlayStation.
that then get ported to PlayStation. So like your Hi-Fi Rush, can't wait to plat that game. I'll be like, oh wow, I found this game. Finally, I played it. Oh my goodness. And like, yeah, like Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. It's excellent.
Dude, you can
I'm
play
really
this on
enjoying
Luna. It's on Luna.
Can you really?
Yes. It's
Alright,
on
Fizz.
literally everything. It's on like
Ubisoft,
9
man.
platforms.
They're gonna be putting their stuff everywhere, right?
I mean, God bless him. And yeah, no, this game pretty darn good. I'm going for the plat, if you must know. So that's why
here we go.
for
Here
me,
we
how I
go.
play games, especially like Soulsborne or like Metroidvanias, I know I'm not deep into this game, knowing that I've put a dozen hours into this game. Just because I am so boring. I'm just hitting every corner to see if there's something invisible. So I
Yeah,
can't wait to dive into it. Yeah, I really can't wait to dive into it. Hopefully I get a chance to get a decent bit of it done tomorrow, because that's going to be a nice little like lay in bed with the Portal and play a shit ton of this. So yeah,
Awesome. We got a question in chat, which is a really interesting one. I'll just ask real quick.
Yeah.
Then we can close out. I had to think about this one for a second, but Pyro said, would you like to see a COD, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, to be remade into a Halo prequel set in a pre-Covenant insurrectionist wars? So basically you're taking those super soldiers, or what are super soldiers in Infinite Warfare, where you just have the tech, and you're relaying that into some sort of Halo overlay universe.
no,
No.
because like what makes Halo interesting is like Master Chief fighting the Covenant. It's like this weird holy war, right? Like what makes the universe really special is like the Flood and the Brutes, and if we just had a prequel trilogy, it's every other sci-fi thing. So I think what makes it special is the religious element. I really like the cult element. So
Okay. Yeah, and the Spartan program itself is what sets it apart from kind of like your standard super soldiers in a way. And I know that that's not unique to Halo. We've seen it in other books and stuff too. But but it is going to be interesting on a larger scale, as we've all talked about many times, to see what Xbox does with Call of Duty long term, and what type of crossovers we see between all of those IPs they now have.
Give me
So,
Doom
we'll
Guy,
see.
dude. Shit.
Yeah, Doom Guy. I mean, you have Doom, Call of Duty, Halo, Gears. I mean, Wolfenstein. You have so many of the
So
classic
many.
shooter IPs. It's crazy.
Yeah. I mean, you already got like the super shotgun, I think, in Call of Duty. It's like it's a skin and it looks awesome.
Oh yeah, they even have the pixelated like chainsaw and everything in Call of
Yes.
Duty. It's nuts.
Exactly. So yeah.
Yeah.
But give me Doom Guy and anything. He's just a badass. Yeah.
Ains, you said Gears, and it just reminded me that I got to actually meet John DiMaggio this week,
Oh,
this
awesome.
last weekend, and get his signature on a Gears thing.
That's sweet, dude. So if you don't know who John DiMaggio is, audience, that's the guy who voice acts Marcus. Phoenix.
Even did the voice too when I was there. He's like, nice.
Yes.
That's awesome. God
Marcus is
bless
a legend.
Marcus Phoenix. Yeah.
Legend. Well, guys,
it's crazy how they only made 3 of those games, right?
Judgment is pretty good. Get out of here.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
It's crazy how they only made 3.
We gonna go ahead and get out of here, wrap this one up. What do you think? Put a bow tie on it?
Yeah, I'm ready. I'm
gonna go pass out.
Yeah, you need to get some rest, man. So Logan, thanks for coming on, dude. Thanks for hanging out with us. Appreciate you being here on time so that we can start the show. But always love having you and getting to chat with you, which is more rare than it should be. So why don't you go ahead and shout out your show, and I mean, you can shout out XCP if you want to, but you don't
have to. You really
do what you gotta
You've done enough charity.
Oh, whoa.
Fancy. Look at this guy's got a
No, I if you guys don't know, I am half of XEP or Xbox Expansion Pass. I also do the Keelhauled podcast, which is just a Sea of Thieves podcast that's covering just Sea of Thieves and the lore and the production that goes on around that. And yeah, I've just a real pleasure to get to actually like hang out with you guys. Joe, I hang out with you on a regular basis, but Ains, we don't get to really talk.
Sorry, Logan.
Much.
That's rough.
I also apologize.
It's okay. I recognize like when it's time to sit down and play the Fortnites, it's how is Joe's day and how long before Luke gets tired of hearing about Joe's day. That's the most of our chat.
Listen, I got a raise. I want everybody to know about it. You know?
I love it.
We hear about it. And
it was mandated by the state, and it wasn't out of the goodness of their heart.
But yeah, it's just hanging out at XEP when I'm not sick and actually participating in social media over on X and Threads at CAPT_LOGUN.
There you go. And I didn't put it in the description yet, but I will update it so your links are there as well. Right. Awesome. Thanks again. I'll go ahead and say, because remember, Joe, you have to close us, of course.
Yep.
So, yeah, so I already mentioned my Prince of Persia review that's up on the site. You can check that out. Look for the video on the 15th. Obviously, Big Cast was back this past Sunday. We did our SG Honors 2023 show, which was our kind of new run at the recognition of all the games that released the prior year. We had a lot of fun with it, a lot of laughs, so you can check that out. And then this Sunday, we are doing a Bitcast questions episode for the panel, meaning that over the past few weeks, we've collected just any question for any members of the panel that we're going to answer live on Sunday. So that should be interesting. We have, last I checked, 20, 25 plus, I don't know how many questions to go through. So that should be a good time on Sunday morning, 11 a.m. is Bitcast. So other than that, just getting ramped back up. We got a lot of big releases coming up. A lot of people, a lot of our contributors at SG already kind of working on prepping for review season. So we do a lot of that nowadays. So just stay tuned for that.
You guys doing Suicide Squad?
I can't wait to fight the Flash.
Zach is doing Suicide Squad. And Alex is doing Last of Us 2 Remastered, being our Sony guy. And he's just playing the 2020 version and reviewing it, so it's easy.
Makes sense.
And there's other things in the works too. I won't go through each of them, but anyway, yeah. So just stay tuned as always. Joe, hit us.
Oh, you can find me over at Mr. Badbit. You can find my show, The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. This week, Kyle and I go through our Game of the Year. It's our Game of the Year show. It's the Platties 2023, where myself, Kyle, and the audience decide on who are the biggest winners and losers this year. And let me tell you something. We talk a lot about the news and all that stuff, right? Just like this show, I like when we sit down, we talk about just nothing but the games. And having a 2-hour and 53-minute show just discussing why we loved certain games and gushing about them, and seeing for the first time in our little award show history where the audience and the hosts agree on the Game of the Year this year was really awesome. So I implore everybody to go check a look at that. because again, we couldn't do all the big bombastic things like we did last year because personal stuff. But this one's really special, so please check it out. The Trophy Room, a PlayStation podcast. You can find me over at Mr. Badbit, PS Trophy Room on Twitter. And yeah, with that said, that all out of the way.
Oh, and thanks to all the chat hanging out with us tonight. Appreciate
you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ira. Thank you, Gamefire. Thank you, Poor Shopper. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Big Mad Mo. Ooh, he's so angry. Why is he so angry? Because he got all them teeth and no toothbrush. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Akiri. Thank you so much, Nisa in the chat. And I'm a piece of shit. Oh, and Adam O'Brien. He's Irish. Okay, everybody, keep casting that co-op.